Salutations fam, this is Archularian from How Testy Gaming, and in today's video we're going to be going over a lot of the interactions present in the Blue Eyes archetype, but more specifically in relation to how it relates to the branded Blue Eyes deck concept as a whole. So this is less going to be a deck profile and more so kind of talking about what cards, well, not all of the cards because there's actually a lot of them, but some of the main cards that are playable in branded Blue Eyes and like what they do in the deck basically, right? Because I really do feel as though like branded, it has been like the best Blue Eye support in years, because not just that it makes a strong Blue Eyes variant, but because the branded cards really do enable the Blue Eyes cards to be playable in a way that I haven't seen in a really, really long time. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and, kind of to start things off, I'm going to be kind of talking about the Blue Eyes cards from the Blue Eyes engine and kind of like what they do. So yeah. But like it shouldn't be too surprising that like branded enables Blue Eyes, because like branded fusion is literally one of the best fusion spells to ever be printed, and Blue Eyes boss monsters from the extra deck have pretty much always been fusion monsters, except for that like one period where we had like synchros, and we really only have 1.5 synchros because we have Spirit Dragon and then Azure Eyes, which isn't actually a Blue Eyes monster. So we have like 1.5. But yeah, so obviously you have the vanilla. I don't need to explain this. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. The main thing about Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is it is truly the best Blue Eyes monster to summon, because it is a boss monster that actually represents interaction. Like it actually does something on your opponent's turn in that it protects your board. It gives you an exceptional grind game. It has that recoverability. It's just such a versatile card. It's a very easy to summon card. Very much one of the, if there were a singular card that I would say, why would you play Blue Eyes? This card is the reason why. Like it is genuinely that powerful. But then we have a card like Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon. So this is a card that doesn't actually see that much play. But one of the things that I want to kind of address is that there's a sentiment that I see very commonly whenever I post a deck profile of something that I played. And it's this assumption that if I don't play something, that the card or the strategy is bad. At the end of the day, I'm trying to play 40 cards and there's like 12,000 cards. You can't play everything. And usually, I am, trying to optimize, but it should be noted that I'm not just trying to optimize my deck building, but I'm also trying to optimize for a specific competitive environment. So specific format, specific matchups, The reality is a card like Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon is still a very, very good card, and it was exceptional support when we got it, what was it, 2021? I believe it was 2021 when we got this card. Wow, it's crazy to think it's been 2 years at this point. But yeah, the card's exceptional. It's just, it gives you such a ridiculous like grind game because it just searches level 8s every, one of your end phase. It, immediately just goes like plus because it searches the poly or the ritual spell. It allows you to make like Chaos Max an actual like splashable engine, because you can just go summon this, search Chaos Form, search Chaos Max, and then you just have that, It's like, yes, drawing it does suck, but like that's so many things in the game that are good. It's like, yes, it sucks to draw a driver, but that didn't stop Gamma from playing one of the most played hand traps, There's like so many cards where it's just like, yeah, it sucks to draw this one part of the thing, but what it does for your deck is just so powerful that it's worth it. And, the graveyard effect of being able to boost all your dragons. Yeah, the branded monsters, a lot of them are dragons as well. So being able to just have Abyss Dragon just suddenly turn a board from like 2k damage to like out of nowhere you just have like 4K damage or like 8K damage. Just it's very easy to set up OTKs because you can use this as fusion material and you know, things like that. But also, in respect to like playing this card in branded blue eyes, this searches poly. You know, being able to do your branded fusion line like with like a fusion deployment or whatever, right? And being able to have a Bish Dragon in the end phase, search a poly for your next turn for a Guardian Chimera play, and then search a Jet Dragon to help you survive until your next turn. And then also being able to just use this as fusion material and then like banish this to boost your stuff so you have an OTK line. This card has always been very, very good for that purpose, and that it just gives you so much follow-up that that turn 3 crackback is just so much stronger. And when you combine that with what the branded, you know, follow-up already gives you, being able to have something like branded fusion poly plus jet dragon plus the attack boost, it's like there's a very real chance your opponent dies on turn 3. But also, because we know the meme, why did this not activate? Why did this not activate? Why didn't it activate? Anyway, moving on to the next card, we have the way you are summoning your Blue Eyes monsters. 90% of the time, you have the White Stone of Ancients. And keep in mind, I'm not going over like every Blue Eyes card, but more so just the ones that I have played or considered playing in branded Blue Eyes, right? So a note, like you'll noticeably, I won't be showing or talking about Sage or like Maiden, because those aren't cards I have ever considered to be playing in branded Blue Eyes because they don't really do very much in that deck. But you know, White Stone of Ancients is how you summon your Blue Eyes. It gives you follow-up, being able to banish it, get discard fodder for plays, get fusion material for plays. A more recent thing that I've been doing with this card is like looping it with Sanctifier, being able to have like the vanilla and then like Sanctifier summon this to my opponent's board and then hit over it and then special another Blue Eyes, and being able to just do that every turn is really, really good in a, you know, grind game type of scenario. And it was actually very, very important in one of my matches at Nats, because I was playing against Flu and none of my like combos actually like did anything to stop his plays because they just normal summon and they don't go into the extra deck. So being able to just out-resource him, being able to go summon Stone of Ancients, hit over it, get another Blue Eyes. Branded Beast, Tribute Jet, pop a monster, summon back Jet. Just keep doing that over and over. And then also, like, you know, the branded fusion monsters, every time they go, they float. And just like, we're just trading resources, and I was able to out-grind him because of interactions like that. Next card. Master with Eyes of Blue. So this one, the interaction might not be immediately familiar. But I'm gonna put this card right here, and then I'm gonna hold them up. Let me see if you can see the interaction. That is correct. Master is a light spellcaster. So you can send Master off of Branded Fusion to make Albion, and then Master can revive a Blue Eyes monster in your grave. That is one of the interactions that Master enables, and it allows you to have that grind game because you can normal summon it, add back a Stone of Ancients to use it for something. It shuffles itself back to summon a Blue Eyes monster, so it helps, you know, in the grind game as well. Just little things like that. And yeah, like it, you know, it's a tuner. There have been times in branded Blue Eyes where in the grind game I have gone into Synchro Monsters. It doesn't happen very often, but it is an interaction that it is enabled, and it's something that, you know, I felt is worth talking about. So this is a card that I played in branded Blue Eyes. Again, more from the Blue Eyes side, it doesn't really do much. It's just Dragon Shrine. We know what Dragon Shrine does. It's nice to have access to this because this is a card where if they figure on Blue Eyes, you activate Dragon Shrine, there's a very real chance they ash this card and then they lose to Branded Fusion. So yeah, very, very good card. And we all know what it does for the Blue Eyes deck. It puts the vanilla in grave, puts the Stone of Ancients in grave, or it gets you immediate access to your Jet Dragon, or it puts Abyss in grave for the boost or whatever, right? Then we have Bingo Machine Go. This is the searcher for the Blue Eyes cards in the archetype, of which there are a lot. Um, and yeah, it's like sometimes it can actually be beneficial for the fact that it doesn't actually just search the card and it adds it randomly, because it gives you, it basically is an upstart goblin that can only give you a Blue Eyes card, right? And so if you pick like 3 cards that are different but they're all beneficial, your opponent doesn't actually know what they have to play around, and that's been very useful to me sometimes. Ultimate Fusion. This is a fusion. This card has fusion in the name. That's relevant because through the branded engine and like some of the cards that you play with the branded engine, you can search this. So the only way, like, it gives you more ways to access Ultimate Fusion aside from just setting it off with True Light or searching it with Bingo. The fact that you have some of the cards from the other side of the engine that can search this makes the deck more accessible to your Blue Eyes plays. Strength and Unity. Branded Blue Eyes is the only deck where this has been felt like a playable card, because being able to just fuse using Blue Eyes White Dragon every turn is something that I can just do, because I can just go Branded Fusion, send Blue Eyes White Dragon, and then it'll trigger this card. Or Albion or Lubellion effect, shuffle back Blue Eyes or banish the Blue Eyes and trigger this card. Or like, there's so many ways to trigger this card in Branded Blue Eyes. And it's a card that banishes, a card from your opponent's field or grave, and the fact that you can just do that every turn. And it's not just on your turn, you can do it on your opponent's turn, because if you have you use like a Branded in red, for example, and then you use the Blue Eyes, you might go into like a Guardian Chimera, pop 2, and then this will trigger and banish another card. You can use like Ultimate Fusion, shuffle away the Blue Eyes, pop a card, then banish a card. And it's just, Branded Blue Eyes is the only deck I play that really truly does utilize this card in a way that is actually good. And the thing is, like, I've actually played this in tournament lists before, like, notably in like tier format. I think I was playing this card because it was simultaneously an out to Mystic Mine. It would just like get rid of their graveyard resources. Being able to do this and then Strength and Unity force out the Ishizu card so that I can continue with my plays unimpeded. Rage with Eyes of Blue is a card I've played in Branded Blue Eyes. Now, as I mentioned in that deck profile, this card is super cope. It's super, super cope. But at the end of the day, it's a searchable card that puts 9k on board. I'm gonna be real with you. If, you go turn 1, you set up your plays, you interrupt your opponent, and then on on your opponent's turn, and then you True Light set this. If you've already got an established board, you can go battle, attack, and clear your opponent's board with your board, and then rage, and then put 9k on board. Like, it's a thing that you can do. It's like, it has utility. Obviously, True Light, a very, very, very crazy card for grind game and like what it does for your grind game. This just summons a 3k body every turn. It protects it. A lot of the time against like Labyrinth, this card is the reason why the Labyrinth matchup is so easy. Being able to have True Light, a vanilla, and Jet in rotation just makes it so difficult for them to actually like deal with you, because you can just keep, summoning Blue Eyes monsters over and over again. And then the Blue Eyes monsters themselves are 3k. So your opponent is just constantly in position where they're just like, well, I can't kill his monsters because of Jet Dragon. I can't target the Blue Eyes because of True Light, yada, yada, yada. And then it's like, even if they get rid of it, you just bring it back. Destined Rivals. This is a card that I haven't played very much, but at the end of the day, it's just a blanket board negate if you control Blue Eyes White Dragon. And it's searchable. And that's the thing I want to like kind of focus on, is that these are all interactions that are just enabled by your engine. This is just the engines interacting with each other, enabling certain things. And then, Ultimate Creature of Destruction, yet another card that you can get off of Bingo and True Light. And then it like resets itself, and it's very easy to proc this because like you have a billion different ways to get Blue Eyes on board, and and that's pretty much going to be it for the Blue Eyes monsters and the Blue Eyes cards in the deck. But like, as you can see, this is a very, 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 very large pool of playables. And actually, this is not all of them. There's like another card. There's another card. Hold up. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Neutron Blast. Yeah. Branded Blue Eyes is the best deck to play the Ultimate Dragon Fusions because it's very easy to set up because, you know, you can just kind of tutor all your Blue Eyes monsters and then fuse from the grave and the banish pile, and it's just pretty easy to do, actually. Yep, and then, you know, Neutron Blast. You can make Blue Eyes Ultimate and then make your Blue Eyes Ultimate able to attack 3 times and then they can't activate anything, you know? You know, it's pretty silly card. I haven't actually played it in a tournament, but it's searchable and it's very easy to set up. Let me make sure there's nothing else. Because I think like the main thing was that I wanted to start with cards that you might play in branded Blue Eyes that you wouldn't also just play in branded. But yeah, moving on. Again, this is a very large pool of playable cards that are enabled because of the branded engine. You wouldn't really be able to just play these and have it actually be like useful and good, but it's like because the branded engine can just like set everything up so effectively, you can actually play these cards. And I have resolved, okay, so except Neutron Blast, aside from Neutron Blast, I have used all of those cards in tournament. I've used all of them except for Neutron Blast. But we all know that I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna do it now. But then we move on to the the branded cards. So we know the branded fusion, Dragon Shrine, but it also gives you like a boss, potentially like 2 extra boss monsters sometimes. Dragon Shrine summons Jet Dragon. This summons Jet Dragon, Mirror Jade, and sometimes more. Or it can summon, like, set up the Sanctifier line where you go Branded Fusion, send Albaz Master, summon Sanctifier, and then you already have like a Stone of Ancients engraved, summon Jet, and then during your opponent's turn, you can summon Stone of Ancients and, do that interaction. Branded in High Spirits. This is a card that isn't very commonly played in Branded, and if it is, it's usually only played at 1. Branded Blue Eyes can play this at 3 because the Blue Eyes cards are dragons. One of the big things about Branded Blue Eyes is that a lot of people say, oh, it's just worse branded. The Blue Eyes cards just make the deck worse. That's not true. And the common thing is that people go, oh, but you're going to draw the vanilla. I literally drew the vanilla almost every single round at Nats, and I won the overwhelming majority of my games because specifically what would commonly happen is I would just go, ugh, I told you not to put that vanilla in my hand. And I would go, activate Branded in High Spirits. Reveal Blue Eyes White Dragon. Send Titaniclad. Discard Blue Eyes. Get Spriggan's Kit. Start playing. And then send Stone of Ancients. And then I have the Jet Dragon. And then because the Blue Eyes is already engraved, the Jet Dragon's actually fully live, And then I have the Titaniclad and all this other stuff. And it's like, that's not bad, Having the Blue Eyes in the grave so your Jet Dragon is even stronger is a good thing. That is not a bad thing. It makes your branded board, so much harder to crack. There were so many times, not just at Nats, but at all the regionals, all the locals, all the big tournaments that I entered, where I found myself thinking, I'm so glad I'm playing the Blue Eyes cards, because I would lose the game here. Every time I saw an access code and I had a Jet Dragon in my hand, I would think to myself, I'm so glad I'm playing the Blue Eyes cards, because otherwise I would lose here. And then there's so many times where the Blue Eyes cards would win me the game. I would get floodgated to sleep. And then I'd be like, oh, I can only summon 1 time? And you've got a monster with 25 and floodgates? I'm so glad I'm playing the Blue Eyes cards. Activate Fusion Deployment. Summon Blue Eyes White Dragon. Attack over your monster. Hey, guess what? You simplified the game state. So now you're sitting here trying to figure out how to out a 3K monster, and I'm chilling. It's like so many times interactions like that happen. The rest of it's just, standard branded stuff. Branded opening. We know what this does. It gets you either a Luber or Quem, discards. And then, with the Blue Eyes cards, it's good because you can, put Blue Eyes engraved. You can get Stone engraved. Stuff like that. Very, very good. Albion. just branded cards, just branded cards, just branded cards. Keeper. This one has unique interactions with the Blue Eyes engine because being able to reveal Blue Eyes fusions and then summon back the Blue Eyes White Dragon onto the board so that your ultimate fusion can fuse from field and actually get the pop effect. And then as we mentioned with Strength and Unity, also get the banished effect. And then also, because of Keeper of Dragon Magic, that is why so many of those cards from the Blue Eyes pile are actually searchable. Because Keeper enables the Predaplant engine, because it can search instant fusion, and the instant fusion can get the Ambulo, I think it's Ambulo Melidus or something like that. Yeah, Ambulo Melidus. And then that gets the Cobra, and then the Cobra can search any card, any like spell card that's lists fusion in the name or something like that. So you can search Ultimate Fusion, you can search Fusion Deployment, you can search Fusion Armament. Like there's so many things that are just now easily playable and searchable because of this engine. And then again, it discards, so it can help set up your Blue Eyes plays. You know, like stuff like that. Just all this like incidental synergy. We know what Albaz does. We know what Quem does. Cartesia. So this is what I want to talk about because Cartesia does not have to fuse using itself. It just performs a fusion. So you can use this, if you got Blue Eyes cards in your hand, you can use this to like summon your Blue Eyes fusions. And again, because it can do that, it can help set up, you know, your Jet Dragon loop, because Dust Dragon can send the vanilla to grave. It can send the Jet Dragon to grave. You know, there have been times where I've gone into Cartesia, fused off the vanilla in hand, made Dust Dragon, sent Jet, battle phase, hit over something, summon back Jet, hit over something else, bounce something, and it enabled me to clear board. Cartesia is very good for the branded Blue Eye strategy. What else is there? Grab my pile of cards. We already talked about the Predaplant engine. This, you know, just a benefit of the Predaplant engine. It's just a poly, but it's for dark monsters only. You can use this to go into like Guardian Chimera plays. This is a very new inclusion. It is Fusion Armament, right? So Fusion Armament is both able to summon one of the most powerful Blue Eyes boss monsters in terms of stats, and also it can just summon Blue Eyes from grave. Yeah, I made a community post about this, but you can summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon with this by revealing Dragon Master Knight. Yep. It's so silly. It is so silly. And keep in mind, if you play like the, you know, the Hexil fusion, if you play that, then you can actually hard make Dragon Master Knight sometimes. Because if you play like the Light Hexil fusion and you like already summoned like the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, you can actually just make Dragon Master Knight. It's so funny. But it's like this card is very, very good because, you know, being able to special Blue Eyes Ultimate, it's like it's the fusion deployment interaction of being able to summon Blue Eyes White Dragon and attack over Napaloosa, except for a 4,500 monster, which is like way stronger. And then it can also just bring back the Blue Eyes White Dragon as well, which is really good. Fusion deployment, we know what this does. In the branded Blue Eyes deck, it has the specific interaction of being able to summon Blue Eyes White Dragon. This is the reason why branded Blue Eyes works as a deck fundamentally, because you're able to actually summon your Blue Eyes monsters consistently, effectively, turn after turn. The fact that you can go branded fusion and then that branded fusion, even though you used it, the follow-up can get you to another Blue Eyes, and then fusion deployment gets you Blue Eyes. You have so many different ways to get Blue Eyes. The different polys that you have effectively. All three of these cards are effectively just polymerization. And when you're trying to summon fusion monsters, having multiple ways to fusion summon, very, very good. The fact that the Abyss Dragon searches the poly, the branded cards can get you to these, and they're just fusions, you know? So branded and white in particular, I think it's pretty cool because it's Miracle Fusion. Now here's the thing. You have to use Fall of Albaz to get the Miracle Fusion effect, right? But here's the thing. You don't have to summon an Albaz Fusion. You can summon Tyrant Dragon with this. And then you have the Despia field spell, which can fusion into it as well. Back during the tier format where I was using Strength and Unity, that was like the idea, was I would just have the Despia field spell. I would go True Light special back to Blue Eyes, Despia field spell, fuse off the Blue Eyes, Strength and Unity, banish a card, and just do that over and over again. Because keep in mind, you don't have to summon a Blue Eyes fusion to trigger Strength and Unity. You just have to summon a fusion. So like I would go into like Albion or like Tyrant or whatever. Like you could just fuse into anything and it triggers Strength and Unity. We have Branded Regain. This allows you to just have such a ridiculous grind game because every time you banish your cards for fusing or your opponent banishes them with a Bestial, they just go back into the deck and you draw. You can get this with Lubellion. We know what Branded Lost does. We know what Branded Beast does. As I mentioned, there's that silly interaction with Jet Dragon where you can tribute the Jet, pop a card, and then the Jet summons. Those are all pretty good. This thing has just like been getting moved all over. We have the brightest blazing Branded King. Searchable Omnigate. Very, very necessary for a lot of these styles of decks. Because you don't want to just get hard destroyed by like evenly. That is like a weakness of the deck. Because like you don't care about Lightning Storm, you don't care about Duster because Jet Dragon deals with those cards. Stuff like evenly does kind of eat you alive. Having a card that can actually stop that is very, very good. And similar to the other card, notice how this just says choose a fusion monster, right? So you can just choose your whatchamacallums. The oh, actually, I had a question because like Sanctifier can't be targeted. Is it by your? Pretty sure it's by your opponent's effect. I assume it's by your opponent's effect because this is Sanctifier and the artwork gonna be weird if you couldn't use Sanctifier. Let me see. Does it say by your opponent's? Okay, yeah, your opponent cannot target this artwork. Okay, that's just a random question. Sanctifier. That card is very, very good. I hope it gets banned. We're in the last little bit of cards. I actually did not expect to go through all of these cards this quick. It's mainly because I didn't talk about the extra deck yet. The one Bestial you play, because, you know, it sets up your fusion plays. Lubellion. The other dragon. It helps you get to all your other stuff as well. That's another thing that I like about this deck is that, I like when your cards have multiple targets because sometimes you'll draw like something. So like if you draw Lubellion, you can discard it to get like the Saronir or a Magnumwood or whatever. And then you don't have to send the Lubellion because you already have it. Similarly with Dust Dragon, Dust Dragons can send Lubellion. So it's just you have multiple ways to like get everything basically. You have the Triple Tactics Thrust as a way to deal with, you know, getting Ashed on Branded Fusion. And honestly, I really do like Thrust over Crossout because Crossout just doesn't do anything going second. But like, right, it still serves the same purpose of, oh, I got Ashed on Branded Fusion, Thrust set Fusion Duplication, and then just Branded Fusion on their turn. So it's like, it still serves the same purpose of forcing your Branded Fusion through. But sometimes you just draw this and you get to just Branded Fusion again on your opponent's turn, even if they didn't stop it. Or like, this doesn't have to actually copy Branded Fusion. It can copy Fusion Deployment. It can copy any of those cards, you know? You can just use this to Guardian Chimera during your opponent's turn. Being able to go Fusion Duplication, target Poly, banish, copy Poly, you know? So many things. Actually, I'm not sure if you can do the Guardian Chimera play. Like, okay, I know you can use it as Summon Guardian Chimera, but I don't think it would actually get the effect. Now I think about it. Branded Retribution. You know what this card is? This card's crazy. Solemn Warning Counter Trap that gets you back Branded Fusion. Very, very good card. On to the extra deck monsters and talking about them. Twin Burst. And the very, like, one of the best things about this is that you don't actually have to fusion summon it with, like, a spell card. You can contact fuse using 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons. And that's very good. It can attack twice on monsters, and then like if it doesn't destroy the monster, it can vanish. So this can get around a lot of stuff. Oh, your opponent has a 4K Dragoon. Cool. Attack into it with Twin Burst, banish the Dragoon. Stuff like that. Alternative Ultimate Dragon. You can fuse and summon this using the Despia field spell, using the Branded in White. Because once you get all 3 Blue Eyes in rotation, and also you can summon this with Ultimate Fusion, you don't actually have to use Alternative to make this. And then this is just a big Chungus that can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects and can pop cards. Very, very good. Again, I don't usually play it, but just because I'm not playing it doesn't mean it's bad. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This is a card that I personally have never summoned, but most of the time when I'm using it, it's because it's a 4,500 attack point monster that I can send off of like Punishment or Nadir that also has a beneficial graveyard effect. And, you know, maybe like that 1 in 10,000 game will happen where I actually like summon Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate and then like OTK with it or something. I already pretty much explained the interaction with like Blue Eyes Ultimate and like the benefit of playing it with like Dragon Master Knight. We know what Tyrant does. It's just stupidly easy to summon in Branded Blue Eyes. Guardian Chimera, you have so many different ways to make this. Abyss Searching Poly, Dust Dragon sends everything. You have your Branded Fusion monsters. Not really gonna talk about these. Chimera Fleecia, this searches Fusion Deployment, this searches Fusion Armament, this gets you to Blue Eyes, it gets you to Ultimate Fusion, it gets you to Branded Fusion, it gets you to everything in your deck basically. Mirror Jade, this sends, what's the card? It sends this guy to search Fusion Deployment or Fusion Armament to get you a Blue Eyes on the following turn. With Fusion Armament, this gets so much stronger because being able to just go Fusion Armament and summon a 4,500 monster is crazy. Especially if you have an Abyss Engrave already, you can just banish that and it's 55. Oh my goodness. Rinbroom, we know what this does. We know what this does. And I pretty much kind of talked about everything else, so I'm gonna be real. I did not expect to get through everything. Because you see this pile? This is all one-ofs. I did not expect to get through this fast. But yeah. Oh, actually, I wanted to showcase. Oh, I'm missing a card. Hold on, there's one more thing. Alrighty, I grabbed it. The Stone of Legend. So the interaction with this is that this allows you to resolve Branded Fusion without going like minus. Because you can send Albaz, the Stone of Legend, summon Albion, the Albion will trigger, and the Stone will trigger and add Blue Eyes White Dragon. And then the Blue Eyes White Dragon is your discard for Rebellion, so you don't actually lose any card advantage. And you can do this if you like, let's say you have a hand and you don't have anything you want to discard. That's what this does. I'm running out of time in my recording. I've got like a minute left. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I wanted to show at least like all the different combo lines. That's gonna be a future video. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and share it with your friends. If you want to see all my deck list and everything before it goes live on the channel, please consider subscribing to my Patreon. The link will be in the description and in the pinned comment. This has been Darkslayer Areen from Haltesia Gaming. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.